Today we're building on, well, we're talking about nation building, just moving, progressing things forward, moving the nation forward so we could prosper, so that we could be successful. Hopefully that's what most of us want, right? I say hopefully because you never know. But I assume that's what most of us are here for. Okay, and so I want to talk about some things that are necessary, things that can't be overlooked. Okay, I had to get some water, not just because I said so, but remember, we follow Prophet Noble Drew Ali to his destiny that is neither uncertain nor unknown. We follow the divine instructions to guarantee our earthly and divine salvation. That's what Islam is for us. Remember, that's why we returned the church and Christianity back to the pale skinned nations of Europe. It was for their earthly salvation, while we, the Moorish Americans, are returning to Islam for our earthly and divine salvation. So for us here, it's not a joke. That really is what we do. That really is how we operate. And I understand and know that there are many out here that are Moors that are not of this accord, that don't understand or that have no interest in it. I know that there's still a lot of us out here that are stuck in savagery, lost in the ways of the lower self, and that love the ways of Rome so much that like there's a lot that's not even trying to give it up. Right? Just keeping it real. We know this. It's already understood. We know that, but here's the problem. You can't have leaders. You can't have Moorish leaders that think like that. You can't. It's a serious problem. Anyone that considers himself or that is accepted by others as any type of Moorish leader that is stuck in the ways of the lower self, that is not coming into Islam, right, and doing the work to subdue the lower self, to be their higher self, right, to unfold a law within. Anyone that is serving in some type of leadership capacity, even if it's just posting stuff online and people's listening to them and believing what they say, thinking that that's Moorish. Anyone in that position would be leading the people astray, would be stagnating things, would be holding people back, and would be only making the movement look like it's a joke and unreal, which eventually is going to turn people off. It's going to turn people away because everybody's not going to stick around, when things are all crazy and, looking, with things all over the place. Everybody's not going to be down for that. Like a lot of people, they'll just give up because, everybody's not playing games out here, right? For many of us, we're in this all the way. We're in this 100%. And so, you know, you're not in here to just play games, right? When you see people this not serious, you get away. You move away. That's your cue to get on somewhere to do something else, right? And so I'm talking about this. I'm gonna pull up the screen, share some stuff with you, but like I said, I want to focus on what to do to move things forward. How do we move things forward? How do we take ourselves seriously? How do we progress and be prosperous in this movement? So I want to share this post, and I want to give a shout out to my brother Molden Bay, Sheik Molden Bay, out of Texas, out of Texas, right? Great state of Texas, right? He made a post, and I think it's really cool that we look at this post and across the board, wherever you are in the nation, that you look at this and then also look at what the Prophet Noble Drew Ali brought, because what he's saying here is right in alignment with the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And if we actually come in and start putting these things into practice, is the success that we want, that we need, that we desire is guaranteed. It's guaranteed. And you will see yourself how the only reason why things aren't where they're supposed to be is because Moors aren't following the Prophet. That's simple. So let's go in here and let me see something. Let me see something real quick. Okay. Get that up here. Okay. Getting stuff working in the background. Okay, here we go. So looking at Sheikh Moden Bey, he said, if a man is married and he calls himself a religious leader, shouldn't his wife be a supporter of his leadership? Now, the reason why this would be said is because he's speaking from a Moorish point of view. So there's some Moors, and it's crazy. I'll explain why this is crazy. But there's some Moors out here that have themselves in some type of position, I guess, where they, other people see them as leaders, or they say that they're a leader, right? They're out here teaching what's Moorish and what's not Moorish, yet they are not Islamic at all. Okay, there are people there, and this is the craziest part. There are even people that consider themselves sheiks of the Moorish Science Temple of America, even grand sheiks of the Moorish Science Temple of America, that are not Islamic at all. Even some, I've even seen some who try to separate Islam from it. And it's crazy. Maybe they're doing it because they're trying to like throw this, cast this wide net, try to get all the fish in here. I want to get the people who's uh atheists, the people who been turned away from religion, which I get, I understand, but that's where you would have the opportunity to show that, hey, this is what we have is pure. What the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, one of us from North Carolina, brought to us is pure, right? He didn't bring all of the nuances of these other cultures and other political agendas that got tied into religion to distort it, to use it to to make money, to control people, right? The dogma, right? We don't have those things, right? We don't. That's why we hold to what the prophet brought. We don't add and switch up and change things. We stick to the pure, simple, divine truth, right? But it's crazy because you'll have people, which I'm not gonna name, but I've seen them claiming to be sheiks and grand sheiks, and they're trying to move it away from Islam, which is crazy. That's going 100% going against the prophet. The prophet Noble Drew Ali, without a doubt or contradiction, started an Islamic movement. Okay, no doubt or contradiction. Okay, where do we derive our power and authority from? The great Quran of Muhammad, to propagate the faith and extend the learning and the truth of the great prophet of Ali in America. All right. So we're out here to appoint and anoint and consecrate missionaries of the prophet and to establish the faith of Muhammad in America. Right. So we are, without a doubt or contradiction, Muslims. We do practice Islam. Anyone that you see trying to skirt that, trying to wiggle their way around it, trying to wiggle their snakely body around Islam, right? Their snake-like character. They're trying to get around it. Why? Why are they trying to get around it? Because they have no desire to follow the prophet. They have no desire to do the work to subdue their lower self, to be a better version of themselves, and to actually inspire others to do the same, and to actually do the work that it takes to be a great and powerful nation of people. Right? It takes work. Okay? It does actually take work. And so there's no desire then for the people to follow the prophet's instructions, where we are returning the church and Christianity back to the European nations. We're not knocking it. It was prepared by their forefathers for their earthly salvation, while we, the Moorish Americans, are returning to Islam, which was founded by our forefathers for our earthly and divine salvation. We cannot leave that Islam out. You can't. And so anytime you see Moors trying to leave that Islam out, there's a serious issue. Okay, there's some Moors, you even have Moors calling themselves sheiks of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Every time you see them, what are they doing? They're cursing people out. They're cursing people out left and right. They got bad things to say about everyone, but the prophet has already covered that. The prophet has spoken on this already. Now, when Prophet Noble Drew Ali has to put out a proclamation and say this supreme words of the prophet Noble Drew Ali and entitles it "The Prophet Has Spoken," this is law. There's no way around this. Now, this is a message to all of you Moors out there, regardless of where you're at, especially the Moorish Science Temple of America, you sheik, grand sheik, a governor, whatever you are. How dare you co-sign on anyone trying to come into this movement, calls themselves sheik, grand, anything, and they are breaking the prophet's law every chance they get. And then they're not doing it in the quiet, in the peace or in the privacy of their home. They're doing it online for everyone to see. Now, I'm not saying, oh, go get, tie him up and put something over his head and take him to a place and make him disappear. I'm not saying all that. But why do you recognize these people at all? You need to stand up and do what's right. Now, Of course, once again, I'm not calling on anyone to be hurt physically. I'm talking about at least stop recognizing these people. At least take this seriously and act as you would if someone was disrespecting the Prophet's movement, breaking the law, and then making a spectacle of it, putting it on YouTube, showing thousands of people this is how we do. And you guys know who does these things. You know who does this because these people do this on a regular basis, all of the time. They have no respect, no honor, no dignity. So you have supreme words of the Prophet. The Prophet says, and once again, this is entitled "The Prophet Has Spoken." There's no going back and changing this. All governors and grand sheiks and head officials that guide any body of Moors of the temple of the Moorish Science Temple of America. You see, you got the parentheses, the little colon there. You know, this is entitled to all heads, all head officials, governors and grand sheiks. He or she must be of good moral standard and a heart of love, and their works must be of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. They are to imitate the Prophet in speech and teaching in any said temple. That means even if it's just a little temple over here, over there, it doesn't matter. They must not be under the influence of intoxicating liquors or any other harmful motive that will terminate to become detrimental to the organization. I've already seen this. I've seen Moors trying to, in my own state, seeing Moors trying to let this go. Oh, we gonna have this person be in leadership, even though he's out here getting drunk and high and getting arrested for it. That stuff could have been avoided before these people even get arrested for their behavior, because they're not supposed to be doing this stuff. Not just intoxicating liquors, any other harmful motive that will be detrimental to the organization. We can't have grand sheiks and governors that's out here getting high and drunk. Obviously, that deads any title. I'm a sheik. You're a nothing. You're a joke. And you're making the movement look like a joke and unreal. So no, we can't tolerate that. I didn't say that. The Prophet did. Some of us take this seriously. Where the rest of the Moors that take this seriously? You're supposed to be on the same side with me. It ain't about do you like me? Do I like you? Are we friends? Forget all that mess. All right? Are you with the Prophet or not? It must not be known that any leader is straying away from home or neglecting his duty at home, or must allow the public to know of their wrongdoings. Right? They have to have their household in order. Right? You don't have control over your little lower self. You got to do your little dirt. You need to go on and step down, have some dignity. Don't make it become exposed. They must forever. This is not saying people got to be perfect. You just know if you weak, step down. There's nothing wrong with that. We all have a lower self. Have some dignity. Don't try to take the movement down with you. They must forever live the life of love at home, and it must be known by all the members. They must not speak rash words, nor any profane language in the mildest form to any other individual. Because a leader without influence of good works cannot be a leader, and to be a real Moorish leader, you must study the Quran and the divine constitution that is handed down to you by either prophet. So this means, no profane language, no rash words. So this means you've got these fake Moorish leaders that are cursing folks out every day online, making a public spectacle of it, showing the standard that we accept, even though the Prophet set the standard far higher. So that means each and every one of you, especially who claims some grand title or some supreme title, how dare you, even if you're not the one that gave these clowns, these devils charters, you're still accepting them. You're gonna, the least you could do is put out public notice. Come on. Where do you stand? Are you with the Prophet or not? Because these people are making a public spectacle. They're not doing it in the privacy of their home. They're not even just doing their bad deeds in the public, right? They're doing it online so that all types of people can see and be like, oh, that's what a Moorish sheik curses people out, calls women hoes and bees and, just anywhere. That's foolishness. It's ridiculous and it's fake and it's weak. And that's why we're not, having the things that we're supposed to have. We're behind where we were in 1928 and in 1929 when the prophet is here, which is ridiculous nearly 100 years later. We're supposed to be much farther ahead. But as long as this weakness, this foolishness is allowed to continue, you will keep stagnating the movement and making it look like a joke and unreal. And the next generation, my children, your children, they're going to be like, this is a joke. And it's not even going to matter what we're trying to do if the rest of the Moors who claim to be in this with us aren't with the prophet. Where do you stand? Right. Not going to read the whole entire um, passage, but you can see just from what I read, it's not out of context. The prophet has spoken. It's clear where he stands. So the leaders have to at least try to be better. They can't do everything that everybody else does. And if you can't handle that, kick rocks. Supreme words of the prophet. Ain't no, we don't feel sorry for you over here. If you can't uphold the prophet, get on somewhere. No love lost, no anger towards you, but yeah, you're a joke. You got to go somewhere. You can do these things if you're not in leadership, even though all of us should try to be better, but you can't do it. You cannot do it in leadership, period. So that moves to the next point with this Sheik Modern Bay speaking about if a man is married, calls himself a religious leader, speaking about Moors. He's coming from a Moorish perspective, right? So if you're a Moorish leader, you have to be Islamic. Why? Because just like in ancient Egypt and the other ancient cultures that we had, our society is always built around the temple. And our leaders are ministers. Our leaders are always like you have a priest king, and the priest king is maintained and protected and guided by a sacred priesthood. So the priest king, right, is protected and he's getting guidance by the priesthood. That's how it always is. Now we've been away from that for so long that yes, for many it's like, oh no, you're not trying to do it, right? But this is how the prophet set it up. And so yes, of course, just getting down to this. Now we have to know this. We have to uphold ourselves to this, and then we have to hold the leadership to the same standard, right? So the leadership is actually supposed to be the other way around. The leaders are supposed to already be on this standard so that they can set the example for the members. How you're going to come into this and know that this is the way we're supposed to be. The leader's not even trying to teach it. Leader skipping around the marriage instructions because leader ain't married, ain't trying to get married, right? Leader ain't trying to do what they supposed to, right? Not trying to be Islamic at all. Maybe the leader's trying to sleep with your woman, trying to sleep with your daughter or your son or something crazy like that, right? So they're not trying to teach you what's right. Then also, what if the leader's married and their wife and children's nowhere to be found? You will be a fool if you trust them. Now, as a regular person, a member trying to come in and, hopefully you can teach them and show them that this is real. You're not just flip-flopping around trying to find something to be in. Maybe if you're consistent, they will come in time. But you shouldn't be trying to be in leadership. Now, as a leader, your wife and children are supposed to be there with you. That's just common sense. Now, the people are so far gone. The people are so out of it, so out of whack, so mentally lost with truth and falsehood strangely mixed. And we've been so turned around due to our own ways. And not blaming it, putting it on anybody else. Just saying that we're so turned around, we don't even know what's right. We don't even know common sense. It should be common sense for you. If this person can't even get their family in there with them, how the hell can they lead a nation? A nation shouldn't be composed of a bunch of dudes around the same age. A nation should have elders. It should have people of all ages. It should have families, and it should have children, because families have children, right? Where's the next generation going to be? So there should be babies. There should be toddlers. There should be children of all ages, including teenagers, grown-ups, their parents, their grandparents, right? You should have all of these ages in there because that's what a nation is comprised of. So if you can't, as a leader, get your wife and children in, you cannot lead a nation. And no one who is even trying to do right would follow someone like that. Like, I'll just use myself as an example. Far from perfect, right? I'm just as perfect as you are, right? I ain't perfect, but guess what? There's no way in hell I would ever follow any man or woman and they, can't even get their wife and children in the temple with them because I can do it. I did it. If I can do it, anyone could do it. So there's no way in hell I would follow anyone like that. And I would say the same for you. I see just in the comments in here too. I see Islam, other sheik from governor from Texas, also commented pretty much saying the same thing. You can't lead me if you aren't leading your family. And that's these are things that are being said by the Moors who understand, but there's a lot of Moors that don't know this. So they're not even able to put two and two together like that because the families have been broken down. Because we've been, so twisted and turned around, we don't even see the common sense in that. Right? You cannot lead me, and you shouldn't. Nobody should even go along with that. That should just be common sense because we're not just playing church. We're not just trying to get together and just play church with a Moorish twist on it. No, we are Moorish American Muslims. The Prophet deemed us a nation. The Prophet was moving as a head of state. We had our own economy, right? And we were beginning to make international relationships. The Prophet's in Cuba. The Prophet's in Mexico. He's not in Mexico just to go on vacation, right? I went to Mexico, went to the resort and all this. No, the Prophet's going to Mexico and he's meeting with governors. He's being received as a head of state, right? What's going to come next? We're going to be opening up trade with the Moors. And this was happening back in the 1920s. They don't even teach us this, right? You even have Moorish leaders. They're not even teaching on this level. So the Prophet's making real progress. And the Moors, of course, dropped it all. They dropped the ball. Like weaklings, just let it all go. They just pissed it away. They pissed it away and let things drop down to the lowest levels. So if you want to rise up to this level and go even further, we have to raise the standard up to where the Prophet had it. There's no sheiks. I don't care if this pisses some people off, even people that might be cool. There's no sheiks. There's no, especially grand sheiks, no governors in this movement who's not married. If there's anyone with these titles, you are illegitimate. You're not real. You're not legit. You should have respect and dignity and honor and step down. And not only that, if you are now, the only concession that I will make is if this person is Islamic and they do desire to get married, whether it be male or female. Now, that's the only thing that's different. If you are actually Islamic and you're not out here trying to sleep and run through all the women, or if you're a woman, run through all the dudes, you are Islamic, you do intend to get married. Yeah, that's different. Okay, because you're on the right path, right? But here's the thing. Eventually, your husband and wife, they're supposed to come into this with you because you're in a position of leadership. And not even trying to shame anyone like that, but if they're not even supporting you in this, you should step down, just to work on your family, home life. Forget trying to be a leader and all this. If we have leaders that aren't able to bring their family in, they're not capable of leading a nation. And the nation will forever be stagnant if people like this are at the head. Okay? Because you got to think about, what is this really about? We're not just playing church. We're actually also, in addition to our, spiritual lessons, we're also doing the work that the Prophet was doing, right? We're putting money up. We're opening businesses. We're moving as a unit. We're beginning to move as a nation, empowering ourselves, even politically. We're making political moves to empower our nation, right? And so for this to be done, you have to be all the way in. You can't be straddling the fence, right? I'll take it even further than that. You can't be some sheik, some head in this movement, and you don't have your Bay or L attached to your name. Why didn't you do it yet? What are you waiting on? Now, I see like someone who just joined, even maybe someone who's been in this a year or two, they still on the fence, they don't know. Especially with all this goofball stuff you've seen on the internet from all these goofballs that aren't all the way in. I see them being on the fence. But you in a position of leadership, you need to go on and get all the way in. And I don't know, man. What you waiting on? You ain't gonna be doing this next year? You ain't gonna be a Moor. That ain't even realistic for me. How can I not be a Moor next year, not be Moorish American? No, we're all the way in. We have the L on all our names, wife and children. This isn't something to show off. We didn't do this for you. Didn't do this for the internet. This is for real life reality. We really believe that this is who we are and this is what we're doing. You need to be all the way in. If you're not all the way in, I don't take you seriously. I don't even honor you. You know, you can't be honored. You can't be taken seriously because you're trying to be in a position. If this is mainly for, like I said, people in leadership, you're trying to be in leadership, but you're not all the way in. That's a problem. That's where you're going into a disrespectful mode where you're, making the movement look like it's a joke and unreal. And that's why you can't be honored or respected in that position. You should step down, especially if you have no intention of making it real, right? So this is also, while it's speaking directly to leadership, this is also red flags for all Moorish Americans out there, everyone, undeclared, everything. Before you even come into the temple, you need to check the leadership. Look, let me see your ID. I'm not trying to look at all your personal information. I just need to know that you're all the way in this, because you the grand sheik, grand governor, whatever you are, and you're not really in this, I ain't messing with you. That's a red flag. Seriously, right? There's no reason why it shouldn't be official for you, and then for your family as well. The offspring, you got some children, it should be on them too. Why? Because if it's not on them, that means you don't really believe this is for their salvation. All right? If it's really important to you, it should be important enough that you're going to make sure your children got it no matter what. All right? So, yeah, you have to be all the way in. And no, I don't think any more should accept any leaders that's married and a wife and children ain't in it with them. I don't think any more should accept any leaders who don't have their El or Bay on their name, right? I know some of y'all El Day and all that extra mess. We just follow the prophet here. It's El or Bay. So, yeah, leaders don't have the El or Bay on their name. Don't take them seriously, right? They're unmarried only if they are Islamic and they do desire. They're not going to be unmarried for the rest of their life. You know what I'm saying? Like, sooner or later, like, it's a dude, sooner or later, he's going to have a wife. Because it's like, if you're a heterosexual male, like, just keeping it real, we all have lower selves. Let's not pretend that you're asexual out here. I know I'm not, and I don't really know anybody who is like that. So let's just keep it real. You have a lower self, so what are you doing? You trying to run through the women? What are you doing? You scheming on people? You trying to do some underhanded, dirty, embarrassing stuff? Like, what are you doing? So you should be Islamic and you desire to get married, with your wife and be respectful and honor each other and raise your children together and all that stuff. So, even if they're not married, I'm not going to say just throw them out, right? Nah, they're Islamic and they will eventually have a wife, or if it's a female, have a husband. Cool, right? But that has to be a portion of, one of the things that they intend to do, one of their goals in life, right? Because you have to be fully invested in here, and you have to be able to be balanced. You have to be able to honestly stand on the Quran. Like, when it's giving you marriage instructions for man and wife from the noble prophet, how are you even building on this? And you don't know. You don't know nothing. You don't know what it's like being married. You don't know what it's like working together, doing these things, building over time. It limits you. It limits what you can do. And especially since, like I said, we're not just plain church. And I'm not knocking the church when I say that. I'm just saying, like, church for me and for most of us growing up, the church, it wasn't building a nation for us. It wasn't reconnecting us to our line of descent and having the purpose of, hey, let's put up money at the local and national level. Let's have our own Moorish leaders. Let's get land for. No, it wasn't like that. So that's what I'm saying. That wasn't a diss to the church in any way, shape, form, or fashion, because we don't go around doing that. Now, you have some Moors that do. Once again, they're against the prophet. We can show you that too. The Moors out here reckless. And then what that goes back to you Moors in leadership. I don't accept them and I won't honor them, and I'll tell them that to their face. They're out here being reckless and going against the prophet, breaking our divine laws every chance they get. I'll let them know. You Moors just, I'm just happy to coon and smile and shine, show your teeth in their face, acting like it's all good, but they against the prophet. They out here, causing confusion. They out here talking bad about other organizations. We don't do that. So like I said, when I say we're not playing church, it's not disrespecting the church. It's just coming from our perspective, the so-called African American. The church wasn't about building up our nation. Okay. This is a huge portion of what we do, and marriage is a huge portion of that. Marriage and family is at the center of everything we do. We have the marriage instructions for man and wife from the noble prophet. It's not marriage instructions for man and man or for woman and woman. It's marriage instructions for man and wife. And we have duty of a husband, right? We have holy instructions for thy children, right? We have instructions for the young women too. We have instructions for the young men. So we have these instructions because the family is at the center of what we do, which means the leader, in order to be grounded, in order to have a full, well-rounded view of this, in order to actually be able to lead the nation, they have to be family men. They have to be family women, right? It's the opposite of what Rome is pushing. Rome telling you, forget all that mess. Just get out here and hoe it up. You can be a straight up whore. WHORE, whore, right? They're trying to make that cool. It's cool to be a whore, right? And they've been telling us that as men, hey, man, we trying to, just run through everything. So, we not in here to do as the Romans do. That's not how it is here. It's the opposite. And so we follow the prophet. And so if you want to come in here and I'm going to curse everybody out. I'm foul, I'm funky, I'm stank. You can do all that in your own home. You can do whatever you want, but you can't be a leader in this movement. And any goofball that allows that smiles in your face, acts like you're a good Moor. Oh, he's a good Moor. That's my friend. But you not a good Moorish leader either. Matter of fact, you're against the prophet. You don't uphold him. Because if you have honor and dignity, even if you're kindly reprimanding this person or telling them, like, trying to give them some instruction on the side, still, you got to speak on it because they're breaking the prophet's law. And as a governor or grand sheik, head official of any body of Moors, any temple of the Moorish Science Temple of America, you can't do this. These are supreme words from the prophet. This is not saying you got to get out here and publicly reprimand these people. I mean, if you're a leader, especially a national leader or supreme anything, you actually should, since they're publicly doing this stuff. But this is saying for all of you out here, especially you leaders, you need to say something. They need to know these people that they look up to and respect are with the prophet. We're not cool with the foolishness that you're doing. You are breaking supreme words. You're going against the law. Period. You're taking the temple down to a state where you're making it look like it's a joke and unreal. And that's why we have people out here who are supporting and promoting these straight up outsiders that are coming in and acting like they the Moorish standard, like they can come in here and teach us. You can't teach us nothing. Everything that they're teaching is fugazi, outside redemption manual rhetoric that has nothing to do with what the prophet brought. And you have Moors that are upholding them, that are trying to act like they the standard. They good teachers. They not good anything. Okay? But real Moors won't go for this. We can't stand for this. They're lowering the standard every chance they get. When are you Moors going to stand up and do what you're supposed to? And that's why it's no joke. It's not surprising then when these same people try to attack Moors again and they're using the N-word. They doing all types of stuff. And they using it and being reckless with it. This dude even doubled down on his attacks using the N-word, right? Attacking Moors. And y'all just cool with it. We let anything go. It's all right. So this is what happens when you have Moors that are asleep at the wheel, right? You got these people that go come in here and they gonna act like they the teachers now. They going around talking about other Moors, putting other Moors down, attacking other temples, right? I mean, it's ridiculous. It's, if I was foul like them, I would say it's a S show. You know what I mean? Fill in the blanks. It's bad and it's weak. And the Moors should stand up. And there's only a few that will actually stand up and say something about this and hold Moors accountable. And I guess I'm just going to be one of those few. I'm going to go on and cut this, keep this short. But Moors, you have to stand up and you have to be Islamic. And if you're not Islamic, then you're going to allow all types of un-Islamic foul things to occur. But we gotta step it up more. It's time. And on that note, Moors, let's go ahead and shut this down. Don't want to keep this going too long, but that's really what it's about. That's the only thing that's holding the temple back, or the Moorish Divine National Movement. We're supposed to be breaking bread, doing business together. And that's the only thing that's holding it back. It's just the Moors aren't fully in. They're not all the way in. You got to be all the way in, Moors. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And on that note, let's go on and get up out of here. You Moors, have a great day. Peace and love to everybody. Make sure you hit the like and the share button. And on that note, we're up out of here.
Highest quality handmade fezzes. Crafted fez with the finest wool, complete with tassel and leather sweatband. Wear the national headdress of Moorish Americans with pride and respect. 3XL size fez is a comfortable fit for brothers with dreadlocks. Shipping worldwide. Go to moorishfez.com to order.